So today we continue with our class Shabbos Home, and this session and all of them that we're going to learn today should be dedicated to Refuah Shlema of dear Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also to Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariel Ora Bas Anna, Imam Rasi Rachel Bas Brandel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra, and quick release of Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina. So I spoke to him today, learned with him 20 minutes. Baruch HaShem was very productive. All right. So we continue with laws of Shabbos, right? And we're on chapter 16, Plowing. Okay. So let me see what is big section is. Okay. So I think so our big topic that we've been on for past two classes, I think. Activities included in Melach of plowing. So quickly, I'm going to read the list. Because we still on the list. So A, plowing and loosening the ground. We covered that. Leveling the ground. So we spoke about it last time, about sweeping in the earthen floor, right? C, which is today, making furrows in the ground. D, removing the obstacles from the ground. E, fertilizing the soil. F, making holes in the ground. So I think we went on over all of them, like in summary. So now each section is going to be dealt in details. Okay, so we're up to C, making furrows in the ground. Making furrow in the ground is including Av Melacha, of course it's Av Melacha, right? Of Choresh, because the furrows prepare the soil for planting seeds or young plants. Okay, so that's as we understand if somebody saw how they plow, and we had one student no longer with us, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately for him, that he was born in a village. So he's a Jew. Mother is a Jew, and he had 5 brothers. I think father is not. And they were living in village, right? And I think in Belarus or something, or somewhere like that. And he told us that he said, and I think we had this topic of plowing or similar topic, and said, but have you ever plowed? I said no. I only I saw the pictures. I understand how the plow worked, but he said, you know what? I was plowing. They had a little field of their own, and they plowed. Right? He was 10 years old, something. Right? Very interesting. Right. So continue. Number 1, compressing the earth. So meaning making a furrow. That's how you plow. So the furrow overturn the ground. Then you throw the seeds in the ground, and the process starts. Okay. So but plowing is the first step. Okay. Number 1, compressing the earth, making furrow by removing the soil from its place. Prepare the ground for planting, because one can place seeds in the ground and cover them with the loose earth. Okay. Making furrow by compressing the earth does not remove any soil and does not improve the ground for planting. Any seeds placed in those furrows can easily be blown away by the wind. Therefore, compressing the earth is not considered choresh. Choresh meaning plowing. Okay, so let's try to understand. So now, so what is compressing the earth? Compressing the earth would be when we use, for example, baby carriage, baby stroller, right? So it's let's say it's a muddy path, right? And meaning you compress the soil, right? It's not going to be more fertile, right? It's not going to accept the seeds because it's very dense. Right, so meaning even if we throw the The seeds is not going to grow there. It's going to be blown by the wind, right? So let's quickly read again. What else beside this? I mean, everything. For example, we walk on the mud, right, or something, and we have hills, right? And with the hill, we make impression. So still, that I mean, there is a hole. Yes, there is a hole. Does it help the seeding? Absolutely not. Okay. So again, making furrows by removing the soil from its place, right? Prepares the ground for the planting. So planting or seeding. Plant is when we have plant like a bulb or something, or existing plant, right? And then you cover back with the earth, or you put seeds and put the ground back. Okay, and cover them up, right, with a loose earth. Making furrow by compressing the earth does not remove any soil, right? It just compress, and does not improve the ground for planting. Any seed placed in those furrows can easily be blown away by the wind. Therefore, compressing the earth is not considered choresh. I mean, of course, we'll see a practical application, because some people would not understand, so they can learn wrong things from this. So they would think if this is allowed, maybe other things are also allowed. We'll see. So number 2, practical application resulted from prohibition of making furrows in the earth. Okay. So I think he's going to go not the end of the. No, he has practical application separately as well. Okay. So, but now we're practical in with the furrows. Okay. The prohibition of making a furrow in the earth. Even if one does not intend to facilitate planting, it is nevertheless forbidden to make furrow or do something that would result in furrow being made. So I mean, of course, when it's said it is rabbinic, because it's not helping the seeding, but still it looks like. I mean, then like a person does not understand, so it looks like exactly the same, right? So even right, even if it's only compressing. Okay. So again, even if one not intend to facilitate the planting, it is nevertheless forbidden to make furrow or do something that could result in furrow being made. Right. So meaning, as we said before, maybe dragging like heavy furniture, right? Like bench, right? So some benches, like a strong bench, like cast iron benches, right? Like very heavy. So if you try to drag it, of course, like you just want to from this place of your backyard to another place. That's it. Like it's you're not making furrows, but as a result, it will make, right? So that's a classic case. But let's see. Pull an object along the earthen surface. One is permitted to drag light objects along the earth, despite the possibility that a furrow may be made. Since the person does not intend to make furrow, and it is not defined as that his action will result in making one. His action classifies as unintended act. Unintended act which is permitted. So before we continue, so let's try to understand. So, again, dragging the light objects. So you have these chairs, like very common. I remember in olden days they cost $5. These big white plastic chairs. I'm not sure, like it's a lot of plastic in there, but it costs $5. Right now, I'm not sure, maybe 20 or something. Like, but they're very light. They're very sturdy, but very light. So meaning, if you're going to drag this chair, most likely no furrow is going to be there. Right? The other reason that we have to look for is actually not to tear off the grass. That's another thing. Okay. But again, as he said, so a person does not intend to make furrow, and most likely it's not going to make because it's light, right? This light, so meaning unintended act. Okay, which is permitted. However, one is not permitted to drag heavy object along the earth. So as I said, like this is a bench, very heavy bench. If it will definitely make a furrow. So that chair, I guess, if it's like after the rain or something, like the soil is very soft, it's possible it's also going to create a furrow. But if with a heavy object, for sure. All the here too, the Furrows is unintended. Unintended act of forbidden. If the prohibited consequences are inevitable, psikresha, right? Therefore, one is forbidden, for example, to pull heavy chair across the lawn on Shabbos. So before we continue, let's try to understand. So with light object, it was not our intention. Most likely, is not going to make an furrow. So that's we said okay, unintentional act. So it is permitted. But with heavy object, like as we said, psikresha again. I remind you, as Talmud says, child is crying. He needs a toy, and the toy, the olden days, the chicken's head, right? So a person wants to cut the chicken's head to pacify the child, but does not want the chicken to die. So I mean, is it possible? No, it's not possible. So it's psikresha. So I mean, if you're going to drag this heavy chair, right, along the lawn, right, it's like for sure. Across the lawn, for sure, it's going to make a furrow, and it is forbidden. So it was unintentional, 100%, but that's irrelevant. Okay. So light object, yes, and heavy not. Okay. Continue. So again, we're not planning to put seeds in there. Right? Continue. Poskim extend the prohibition in previous eras to include stone surfaces to ensure the heavy object will not be mistakenly dragged along the earthen surfaces. Very interesting. Therefore, it would be forbidden to drag heavy objects across the stone surface if it will make furrow in the earthen surface. Nowadays, okay. So before we continue, so let's try to understand this prohibition. So Poskim extended the prohibition in previous eras to include stone surfaces to ensure that heavy object will not be mistakenly dragged along the earthen surface. So if you live in a private house, so we don't have this, but somebody lives in a private house, right, and they have like backyard, right, from the right, so they go to the backyard, and some of them could be paved, right, with tiles or some bricks or whatever is it, right, and some of them not. Some of them part of it's grass, right? Maybe path is paved, but the other part is not. So they would not allow, these sages would not allow to us to drag these chairs on a paved part, right? Why? Because the person might mistakenly continue dragging on the earth, right? Which just makes sense, right? Therefore, it would be forbidden to drag the heavy object across the stone surface, if it would make a furrow in the earthen surface. So meaning why? Because it's in a close proximity and one thing leads to another. Nowadays, however, when the majority of the houses have hard floors, there is a stone, for example, a stone tile wood, right? The poskim permit such activities. According, one is permitted to drag heavy object inside the house because all of the houses have covered floor. This leniency also include paved yards and patios adjacent to the houses, because they're viewed as extension of the respective houses. Okay, so before we continue, let's go back, try to understand. So now we say today, so now, I mean, he's saying that like all these sages, not all of them, but one of the point of these sages were that the houses were like had earthen floor. That's what the issue. That was the issue. Okay. So now, as belong before, all of the houses have strange law. I mean, majority have I seen in my life house without floors like earthen. I don't think so. I mean, I saw them like this reference in the book. Like majority, as I said before, I think It was like when they describe somebody is rich, he has a wooden floor. So when I first read it, I said, "Oh, okay, wooden floor. So what is so special?" But then somebody explained. You understand? A wooden floor. Back then, it was like only rich people could afford a wooden floor. Right, and stone floor, of course. Right. So the poskim permit so and the people like in Middle Eastern countries, so they would have this what is it? No floors, but they would use rugs. So they would cover the floor with rugs. That's what the why rugs were very popular by them. Right. The poskim permit such activities. Right. So meaning drag the furniture over the hard floor. Okay. Accordingly, one is permitted to drag heavy object inside of the house because all our houses can have a covered floor. But I would not don't try to do it at home. I would say like because you can scratch the floor, not a good idea. But technically it is allowed. Okay. This leniency also includes paved yards or patios adjacent to the house. Right, because they're viewed as extensions of the respective house. I think when they say paved, they mean completely paved. So as we said, everything attached to the house is like continuation of the house, but without roof, which is we can of course apply use this leniency. Okay, continue. So next one is baby carriage wheelchairs. Right. One is permitted to push wheelchair or the baby carriage along the earthen surface, even though the wheels will make an indentation in the ground. This does not constitute making furrow because the wheels do not remove the earth from the ground, they merely compress it. This is not plowing. Okay. So, all right. So again, wheelchairs and carriages, but it's not so simple with wheelchairs and carriages. We can use them only when you have a roof. So people pay extra to live in a roof area, right? So I know for sure somebody was looking for a house and. The person was arguing. I'm not sure. Sometimes I want to tell people how wrong they are, but right, because when I tell them what is good for them, not it's not like I'm trying to spend their money because a person has 2 little kids, and he wants to buy like 3 blocks or 4 blocks from the Earth because the prices, and then he showed me it's like. Maybe 20% less, same house, but 1% less because of the roof. So I said, look, I understand, my friend, but you have little kids. How are you like, your wife is going to stay home? She's not going. I mean, if a wife prefer to stay home, there is no problem. But if she wants to go to visit her friends, and she wants to take her kids your kids to play with other kids, and they're little, like they need to go to the carriage. Like how exactly are you going to manage without you? People arguing against me. Like I wish you only best. Like I'm telling you that if you of course sometimes people are blinded. They say I'm going to save this money. I say it's not my money, and I'm not trying to spend somebody else's money, but practically. Like how much the life is going to be more enjoyable with you by you if you have this roof. I mean. I'm not making commission from that house, right? It's not even in my area, but I understood quickly. I understood. I said, where the aero fence, right? And then and he showed me the map, and I say exactly. That's exactly the reason. Okay. So continue. So right, and then wheelchairs are the same. And some people say that if a non-Jew pushes wheelchair, it's not exactly true. It's not. Continue. D. D. Removing obstacles from the ground. Including the Melacha Choresh is remove the obstacles that are attached to the ground. since removing the obstacles make possible to plow and plant the ground. So which is makes sense. I mean, if you have the I don't know, like wood pieces or stones, right? It's impossible to plow. So, but when they clear the path, that's only when you can start plowing. And we had actually in New York State, there is a very Jewish part of New York State. They call Rockland County, Rockland, right? Right, because why? Because there are many rocks. Right, there are many rocks. So if I had people from there, so they told me if you want to plant a tree, you have to remove like it's not like where you live, you just dig a hole and plant the tree and that's it, or bushes, whatever, flowers, whatever. Right, you have to dig, you have to make a huge hole and remove a lot of rocks. So in a sense, otherwise, I mean, exactly the same. The people cannot plow with all of these rocks. It's going to break the plow. And it's not going to plow and break, right? So meaning removing the obstacles is talada, I guess, of the plowing. Continue. Continue. If the obstacles are not attached to the ground, but they are so embedded in it that a shovel is required to remove them, they are considered connected to the ground. Detaching weeds and the dead plants from the ground are included in Melacha Choresh, because the plants can be planted in their place. Okay, so two different ideas. Okay, so with removing the stones, we got it, right? So next one, again. If the obstacles are not attached to the ground, so as the ground, but they embedded. So embedded meaning like a stone. So they're not attached to the ground. So roots, I guess, from the tree. That tree maybe it's attached to the ground, but stones are not, right? Right. But you need a shovel required to remove them. They're considered connected to the ground. Okay. Connected to the ground. Continue. Detaching the weeds, right? Of course, detaching the weeds would prepare the soil, right, or dead plants, right? So including Melacha Choresh, right? So meaning that you're making like holes in the ground when you detach the weeds, right? You're making the holes, right? Because other plants can be planted in their place, right? For sure. Right, and that's what the nature of the weeds, right? So I would say just our masters of Mossad teach us that you see weeds, you don't have to plant them, you don't have to tend to them, you don't have to water them. They just grow by themselves, and a lot, for they come from nowhere. Like you had a clean piece of plot of land, and now it's like overgrown with weeds. How is it possible? Where they came from, right? And they say same as Yetzer Hara. So all of the bad traits, the bad deeds, right? They come on their own. But if you want to grow roses there, or some cucumbers or something, right? On those you have to work a lot. So meaning that if you want good fruits, right, you have to work. But all these weeds come on their own. Continue. Subsection E. Enriching the soil. Enriching the soil is included in Melacha Choresh because it's to improve the earth for planting. So again, our big idea, like major idea, to improve the land. So if you just put a seed on the ground, nothing's going to happen. But when you plow, like a return, so there it's very fertile land, right? Earth. So inside. So meaning, right, or you add some fertilizer. Enriching soil is included in Melacha Choresh because it improves the earth for planting. Therefore, it is forbidden to do any work, to work any type of fertilizer, chemical, compost, manure, right, into the ground. Okay. If the fertilizer were deposited without without working into the soil, one does not transgress the prohibition because the soil will not be enriched. So meaning if it's on top, of the ground, it's not a problem. So we have one student. We used to have two. One in this class had a farm. So now it's on one left and another. Had a farm, and they ask all of these questions. So first, I did not understand what is this coming from. And then they understood. No, I have a farm, so I have to take care of these animals. It's very interesting. So meaning if they let the cow walk around, right, on Shabbos, and they deposit some things on the ground, there is no problem. Right? That's not our intention. We don't benefit from that. We don't want it. There is no problem. You don't have to clean up after the cows, right? So, right, and a few other things. I learned this specifically for those students, because some things we learn only superficially, all right, because it says in our classic book, but how to milk the cow. I mean, who milks the cow? Guess what? I have more than one student who milks the cows, right? They live in villages. No, not villages. So one lady lives in one of the towns, and there is no kosher food there. And she's Baruch Hashem, she's a kosher lady, and she cooks. She cooks dairy foods for other families. Right? They order, they pay her money, and she makes her own halaf Israel. So she would go to the farm. So she helping us with the channel. She said, I will not be available. I have to go make 3 or 4 trips to the farm. Oversee the milking and bring milk. It's very interesting. And then cook, and she does the sour cream, everything. Creams on her own. It's very you read about this book in the books, but people doing it today, right? Very interesting. Continue. Okay, so all right. So we said fertilize. Therefore, so it is forbidden to work any type of fertilizer, chemical, compost, or manure into the ground. So meaning right. So not on top, but into the ground. If the fertilizer is deposited without working it into the soil, meaning it's on top, one does not transgress the prohibition because the soil will not be enriched. Not sure. I mean, the truth. I mean, I saw these people who do the lawns, right? They put all the white stuff for the grass. I think it's fertilizer. I think. Okay, no problem. So continue. But okay, so but we get the point. Intentionally, don't do things like that. Actually, let me check time very quickly. I think we can stop here, or let's finish this part and then we stop. Little part. So last point, making holes in the ground. Number one basic rule. As stated above, making holes in the ground. Making holes in the ground, including the melach of plowing, right? If it is for a purpose of facilitating planting, for example, to place seed inside of the hole. Making holes in the ground for any other purpose than planting, that is indoors. Holes, okay, is transgression of melacha building, boine. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. So if somebody makes a hole in the ground, so meaning a hole in the ground, there's I saw a thing in the catalog. There is some tools to make to make the perfect hole. You need for one flower, there is a tool in and out, and you have perfect hole. Okay, so All right, so meaning for sure it's plowing. So you don't need the whole furrow, right? You need a small hole to put the bulb or something in there. Okay, so it would be forbidden, right? Or to put seed in there. Making holes in the ground for any other purpose, like somebody who's walking on with what is it? With the heels, right? Lady has like thin heels, making a hole, right? It would not fall under this prohibition, right? Or another example that he says in indoors. So again, indoors in the olden days, right? Meaning that you're not going to plant there. Transgress milach of building. So in indoors it's building. How? Why is it indoors building? We're going to see when we get to building. Maybe like compressing the ground. Okay. So next one, making holes in loose dirt and sand. One does not transgress milach of choresh if the walls of the hole are immediately collapse after it's dark. It is dark. Okay. Therefore, one is forbidden to dig a hole in a dry, loose sand. One is not forbidden to dig a hole in a dry, loose sand on Shabbos. Okay. So let's it's not so simple. The sand is muktzeh. Maybe for kids, some kind of there is some game with the sand, but still it could be like building, like forming. Also a problematic. Like Play-Doh, these things would not be allowed. So, but let's see. One does not transgress milacha of choresh in the plowing if the walls of the hole immediately collapse. Right. So like in the sand, like beach sand, right? Collapse after it's dark. Okay. Therefore, one is not forbidden to dig a hole in a dry, loose sand on Shabbos, meaning that it's going to collapse. Commentary. In most situations, however, it is still forbidden to dig because the prohibition against moving muktzeh, since the sand is generally speaking muktzeh. I mean, in some sense, and in some cases, sand is not muktzeh. When it's not muktzeh, I think when we need to cover something with the sand, might as wrapping something around. Okay, but otherwise it is muktzeh. Okay, so but we got the point. So if this hole is not going to stand, it's going to collapse, no problem. Okay. Next one, last one, exposing a hole. One is permitted to remove a stick from the ground on Shabbos, even though the removal will leave a hole in the ground. Leave the hole in the ground. Okay. Exposing the hole that already been made is not considered creating a hole. So okay, so let's do it again. One is permitted to remove the stick. So it was a stick in the ground. On Shabbos, I'm not sure why would want to remove the stick, but it's a different story. Removing will leave a hole in the ground, so it was stuck in the ground, and they take out. Okay. Exposing the hole that has already been made is not considered creating a hole. So generally on Shabbos, you have to be careful with all of these living things, right? With all of bushes, and I remember a few times in my life. I saw, like, I was working with someone, and we were having a conversation, and the person was walking next to the fence, right, or the fences. There are bushes like sticking out, and he was like a few times happened, like two different people. So they were like rip a little, like a piece, like a leaf or something, say, or a needle. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, is it stealing? You're extremist. I said, I'm like, first of all, it's stealing, it's for sure. But I'm not an extremist. Like, if you get used to doing these things on a weekday, for sure you're going to do on Shabbos, just absent-mindedly, right? So you're going to chill it on Shabbos, right? So it's better like to get rid of this habit completely. First of all, it's stealing. So I mean, how is it stealing? If this owner of this bush is going to see, of course, like it has a million and a half leaves, but even the one leaf, why it's growing? Why would you rip it? right? This is the only permitted in situation when there is no concern that the individual will fill the hole with the soil in order to even the surface for ground, right? So he said you can remove the stick from the ground, even though you're going to leave the hole open. So right with only if you don't plan to put something there inside, like in soil inside. Okay, no problem. So because it's going to be building, as you said, building or plowing. All right, so let's stop here. Let's take 5 minutes break and we continue after break. And today is Wednesday story night. 5 minutes.